It's okay. You have your own clicker, Ed, or no? That's fine. That's fine. I can. All right. Apologize for that. Live stream. If you watch online, no worries. It's coming. Huh? I can do it by hand. Yeah. Like. Thanks. Ah, perfect. Welcome everybody. Thanks a lot. So yeah. Sorry for this. So yeah, basically I already explained all what I wanted to explain. So going about into the format of this hackathon. Okay, so what is exactly MirrorLink technology? The 3-step challenge. Okay, already explained to you. The 4 axes of development. Okay, so what I was saying is like there are not mandatory themes. Okay, these axes are just for you to have an idea on what to develop. Okay. So feel free about your idea, okay? You don't have to fit in these one, okay? These are inspiration for you, okay? So be creative and don't think that you have to fit in that, okay? So the prize pool already talk about it. Today's agenda, same. So yeah, we basically will have at the very end the pitch idea session, okay? So during the technical talk, keep in mind that you will be able to present your idea at the end, okay? It's just a dry run, okay? The real pitching idea session is on the hackathon, okay? It's on Friday night, okay? So don't be afraid to pitch. If you didn't prepare anything, just go on stage and pitch, okay? And after we have like the speech coaching and dinner, so it's gonna be at around 9. Okay, so right now I'm giving the mic to Alan. Please, round of applause to Alan.
Thanks, Alan. Someone here? Thank you. Okay, very good. So thank you, Alex. So they're bringing up my presentation now. So again, very, very happy to see such a wonderful turnout. This is fantastic and beyond our expectations, really. So excellent, and we hope that what you learned today is going to be very exciting and really get your interest and excitement up as well. First of all, thank you for joining us, of course, and thank you to all of our sponsors. Be very quick here to make sure we get you going on the real important stuff. A little bit about what Car Connectivity Consortium is, to give you a little bit of background and understanding of who we are and what we're about. So we are an industry association. We are comprised of many different companies. We are not a company in and of ourselves so much as an association of companies. So really, we are built out of car manufacturers, handset makers, head unit makers, etc. So really, our mission is to bring all of those different parts of the industry together and give them a place that they can work to develop technology. Our solutions, as Alex mentioned, that this is really focused on Android, but the concept that we have for MirrorLink is OS agnostic. Today, everything is very much focused on Android because that's what the majority of the market frankly is, but that does not mean that is all it is. So MirrorLink as a concept is meant to be deployed against many different OSs. It's not limited to Android. It can be on Windows Phone. It can be on whatever. So this is extensible. But Android, of course, very logical, large market share, most bang for the buck to get started. Our associate mission is really interoperability. So our job is to help build a specification that helps everybody work together well, cleanly, easily. And we do that through transparency. We'll talk a little bit more about that. That's something that the technical discussions we'll get into a bit more. We were founded in 2011, as you see here, and essentially after that point in time, we've grown to about 100 member companies. And those companies, as mentioned, car makers, handset makers, etc. So we are really, as far as in this space, the only open ecosystem, the only technology that is open as far as across all of the different segments of the industry, the only one that talks about the technology from a standardized perspective. Everybody else is looking at it from a particular manufacturer, a particular platform, whatever. But if you want to talk about what is a transparent approach, this is the one. This is the open one. So really, from that perspective, we're the only open standard. Again, give you a sense of some of the membership. These are not, insignificant companies. These are companies you're going to recognize. So Volkswagen, Mercedes, Honda, Samsung, General Motors, Mitsubishi, etc., Mazda. We cut across all the geos. So Japan, Korea, US, Europe, etc. On the handset side, same. On the head unit manufacturers, the same. So this is global. This is meant to work on all operating systems. So what you get with MirrorLink is not a particular market segment, not a particular geography. You get everything. And that's really the advantage from this perspective. Now, from a user experience perspective, very simple in concept. And this is something Alex touched on very briefly. But from what we are doing is connecting the phone to the head unit, applications running on the phone, displayed on the head unit of the vehicle. The idea is to put the phone away. Get the phone out of the user's hands. Because the concept of driver distraction is becoming more and more and more important. People want to have the phones away from the user. Because we all know, if we're quite honest with ourselves, that having the phone in your hand while you're driving is a bad idea. But of course, we all know there are many things we want to do with the phone while we're driving. We just know better. So the idea behind MirrorLink is to give people a way to do that responsibly. That's really the fundamental concept here. So the user experience that we're building on and what we're trying to enable is that concept, a responsible way for using those apps on the phone in the car context. So how do we help solve that issue? Openness, again, it's an open industry standard. There's no surprises. There's nothing hidden here. There's no ecosystem special. There's nothing that you don't know when it comes to building an application. The rules are written down. If you are going to not be able to be certified for MirrorLink, you're going to know exactly why. We do not limit you because of a particular market segment. We don't want you to be limited because we don't want another navigation app or another whatever app. We want as many apps as we can get a hold of. Compatibility, again, truly global, as I mentioned earlier. And longevity, which I think is a key issue here. We really need to focus on this concept, which is we're not dependent on any one company. If a particular company in the consortium changes its mind, changes its strategy, and decides that it doesn't want to do this anymore, MirrorLink continues the same. So if a car company decides no, if a handset company decides no, it continues on. In the case of a proprietary solution, if a particular proprietary vendor decides this isn't for us anymore, any investment you've made in making that solution work is lost. So from this point of view, you don't lose your investment in the work that you do to develop MirrorLink. A little bit about numbers. This is real stuff. This is not imaginary. We have certified and put on in the field tens of millions of phones and millions of vehicles. So this exists. We have certified in the neighborhood of 150 head units that are going in cars on the assembly line right now. We have certified 225 different models of handsets. This is not imaginary stuff. This is real stuff. This isn't tomorrow. This is now. And we're just getting the space open for applications. So right now, there are applications that are certified, but as you see, only 10, and I'll talk a little bit about very briefly what those 10 include, but from the point of view of developers, this is an exciting open space for you to develop into. We want tens of thousands of apps, not 10. So the idea here is to really develop huge numbers of apps, just like in the regular app space. So the future here is very exciting and very much open. From the point of view of end products, again, just to give you a little sampling, Citroën, Honda, Opel, Peugeot, Skoda, Toyota, Volkswagen, all very strong supporters from cars. HTC, Fujitsu, Sony, Samsung from the handset side. Real products on the market right now. From the app side, big names again, Bringo, MeRoamer, Cygic, Parkopedia, Audiotech, Glimpse, Coyote. So these again, significant names. These people recognize the value of what's going on here. So there is an opportunity to build on this and to do something really exciting. We're not limiting you into a particular strata. We're not limiting you into a particular way of working. This is green field. How you develop an app is only limited to your imagination. So very simple summary. Global consortium, we're meant as a collaborative effort, very open. This is a standardized approach, which means it's very, very well documented. It's very clearly written. The rules are open. We tell you what the rules are. There's nothing hidden here. Anyone can do it. You want to do it? We want you to do it. We're not trying to prevent you from building in this space. We're not just a connectivity solution. We argue that we are the industry standard connectivity solution. So, a lot of what you're going to hear now is about how to do that. So we provide you the tools to help you along the way. So what you'll see are common application development guidelines. You're going to see tools that the guys will talk about. You're going to hear about these development assistants that Ed and Jörg are going to describe to you. So really, from our perspective, this is a great way to build apps for the car context. So we hope you're as excited by the time this is done as we are and what we've been doing in building this ecosystem. And hopefully, when all of this is said and done, the pitches and the ideas that you have are going to be just as interesting as we think they can be. So finally, thank you for joining us, and good luck on your mission to create some really interesting apps for us. So thank you, and I'll wrap it up with that.
Thank you very much, Alan. Bonne chance. All right, so right now I'm going to give the mic to Gauthier. How are you, Gauthier?
I'm good.
Yeah. All right, so he's going right now to present you, to do a little demo, okay, about the device. Are you ready for that? Yes. I'm actually going to take the camera and try to film, like I feel like a reporter, like a journalist. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, basically just after the Gauthier presentation, we'll have Ed and Jörg. Okay, they'll go a bit deeper into this the technical details about the technology. Okay, so are you ready, Gauthier? I give you the mic, and I'm going to take care of this.
Okay, so my name is Gauthier Falconet. I work for PSA Peugeot Citroën. I'm in charge of the integration of the smartphone in the car. And I'm also the CCC, so Car Connectivity Consortium Vice President. So one thing that is very interesting and I would like to really highlight is as soon as your application is MirrorLink, it will work on any car that is MirrorLink with any phone that is MirrorLink. And this is very important. So I'm presenting this, but the same demo could work in Volkswagen in exactly the same way. So what I would like to show you here very briefly is what we call a test bench. So what you have and what you will have on the screen very shortly, I hope, is here is really the same thing as you will find out in the car. So it will be the same screen, the same system behind it. You will be able to trigger exactly the same functions. Like if you can change the volume, you can do a mute. You can all the steering wheel's buttons, so all the buttons in the steering wheel, you can use them. And this is really really helping you when you are when you want to see how it will work in the car in the end, and how will it interact with the car. This is really really helping you doing so. So this test bench will be present. So now it's a demo test bench, but it will be present in DS5, Berlingo, and it's coming in the new 208, and the partner from Citroën. I have also another test bench there that I can show you later. It will be present in the C1 108. Okay, let's go. So I hope I will not have the demo effect. Okay. So you see on the screen. So you have the top screen that is really what the user see while driving, and below you have a small screen that simulates all the buttons that are present inside the car. So in this way, you are able to dynamically interact as the user would do in the car, but with this screen. So what I do is I just plug the phone. Cross the fingers? No. So now the phone is connecting to the head units. Wait a little bit. Okay. And the music starts. So it's a MirrorLink that you are hearing. It's a web radio that has a lot of radio. I will show you very quickly. Maybe putting the volume down a little bit. So we have I just installed a few applications to show you the concept. So we have MirrorLink and we have Coyote that I think all of you know. Coyote was one of the first applications to be compatible with MirrorLink. So here, what's very interesting, and I guess you see at least with maybe bad colors, but what's very interesting here is that you have the Coyote experience that will be different from another application. And you will, the same way that they are doing this, you will be able to have your own experience the same way as they did. So we are not tightening you in some user experience that the UI, so the graphical elements is your design. And you can switch the same way as on the phone. You can switch from one application to another. You can change some radio. So Bangladesh radio. So you have. So on this one you have yes, a lot of radio. So it's just showing you quickly the two basic use cases the two applications. What you need to really see is really it's your design, your application, and the same way as they did, you will be able to do at the end of the hackathon. Thank you very much. And sorry, one last thing. Here is a C5. It's one of the car we used to do some test drive. So inside we have put it the same way the head unit. We have upgraded this car with this head unit, and it's just one car that we will be able to use if we want to test this application while driving and see all the use cases that make sense. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gauthier. So, yes, I think some of you will like this one. There is indeed another one over there. So, okay, this kind of devices and system will be available for the hackathon or available tonight for you to understand the user experience of the user experience in the car. Okay, so all right, Ed, Jörg, are you here ready to rock the technical presentation? Yeah. Yes. All right. Please, a round of applause for Ed. Okay, just a good time for me to remind you the Twitter hashtag. So it's hashtag MirrorLink for all on Twitter.
When should I finish up? All right, thank you very much. So my name's Ed Pichon. I'm what's called the application certification body for the CCC. That means my job is to run the process for getting apps certified, unbiased, impartial fashion. I'm the guy that reads all the test reports and looks at all the apps and works with the app developers. So I'll try and walk you through at a high level quickly what MirrorLink can do, what kind of technical things you need to consider when you're making your apps, and what kind of things you'll be able to do with the MirrorLink app. So the basic idea has already been covered. Basically, you get in the car, you connect the phone to the head unit of the car, and you don't have to interact with the phone anymore. You can use the apps on your phone and interact with them with your car. So essentially, you turn the car into a terminal to use the apps that are on your phone, is the basic version. Okay? So your application sits on the phone, what we call a MirrorLink server, and it communicates over this MirrorLink protocol to the head unit, and it provides all sorts of services to your application. We get frame buffer replication, we get bidirectional audio, we get control events from the head unit so that your application can get access to the controls inside the car, like the buttons on the steering wheel, that kind of thing. All that information is communicated over the MirrorLink protocol. The nice thing from your app's perspective is you don't have to do any of that stuff. That's all taken care of by the server device, by the phone. So for your application to get frame buffer replication, happens transparent to your app. It's a service that's provided to you. Most of the controls, actually all the controls, come to you as standard events within Android. You don't have to build a special interface to deal with those controls. They just come to you as a standard Android event. Bidirectional audio handles just as standard audio. Most of this stuff comes for free to your application. We do provide a common API, is what we call it. It's a thin API so that your application can find out about the MirrorLink session, find out about the devices you're connected to, and gives you some command capability too, but it's mostly for getting information about what's going on. What does the server support? What does the head unit support? What do you have access to? And that's provided by the common API. So that's the high level. The nice thing for your app, everything is done, again, transparently, and you can do whatever you want with your application. There's no templates, there's nothing like that. You design your UI, it shows up on the head unit as you've decided it wants to be rendered. You can see it on the phone, you'll see it on the head unit of the car. So that's the quick version. Now what's in that common API? A lot of people want to know. The API is divided into a couple of modules that give you access to all sorts of different information about the phone, about the head unit. There's a lot of different blocks, and I have a quick description of some of this information. From the perspective of what you have to do with your application, there's really only two modules that you ever really need to deal with. And that is the event information, which tells you what are the capabilities of the head unit. Is it a touchscreen head unit? Does it have steering wheel controls? Does it, like a Daimler with that rotary shift knob that Daimler likes to use? You find that out using the event information. And the other bit is context information, where you provide a little bit of metadata about your application so the head unit knows what to do with your application. We provide a bunch of other stuff, but these are really the two bits that you have to deal with in your application to work in MirrorLink, and that's all. It's really quite thin. All right. Sorry, I hate mics. All right, so that's the basic rundown. To give you an example of what some of these things are in detail, the context information that you provide, you can tell the head unit what kind of audio or video you're providing. The really important part is the audio content. You provide a description about what kind of audio your application is producing, if any. So if you're like a radio app, you tell the head unit, I'm a radio app, the audio that you're getting from me is radio, or navigation content, or phone content. So the head unit can figure out how to mix the audio with whatever audio it's having to deal with that's coming from the head unit itself. So if you've got the radio on in the head unit, it uses that context information to say, oh, here, the audio I'm getting from the phone is navigation information. I should make sure the user hears that, so I'm going to mute out the radio while the navigation information plays. So that's what the context information is about. You can provide a bunch of other stuff too, for like backwards compatibility for some older head units, but most of that's been deprecated at this point. Really, all you really need to worry about is the audio context information. Another big piece of information you can get is the display information about the head unit. Head units have different size screens, different resolutions, different physical sizes, different bit depths in the color. And you can find out through the display information component of the Common API. The nice thing is, the head unit will tell you what part of the screen is dedicated to your MirrorLink application. But it'll also tell you, for example, if it changes at runtime. During a MirrorLink session, the head unit could actually window the screen that it's showing, or part of the screen that it's giving for MirrorLink. It could even actually try and rotate it. And over the API, I'll say, hey, I'd like to try and go to a portrait orientation. Most are landscape, obviously, on head units, and say, I want to go to portrait orientation. Can you do that? And over the Common API, you can say yes or no. And then you can, once you say, okay, I've had my orientation switched, you can relay out your UI so your application looks good. And that's the kind of information that comes over the display information element. The other big one is the event configuration. This is the other one that you really need to pay attention to. Because this is where you find out what the capabilities of the head unit are in terms of what kind of controls and buttons it has available. So if the head unit uses rotary shift knobs, this is where you find out that information. If it has dedicated keys for making calls and ending calls, or actual dedicated phone buttons like the star and the pound key, you find that information out on this, and that's you get that info. A lot of the head units, they don't use like the standard multi-touch capacitive or force touch displays that we're used to on phones. They're often typically are very, they're simpler head units displays, they're single touch. And this is where you find out, can the head unit support multi-touch? Can it do single touch? Can it do multiple pressure levels? You find that information out here. Right. Now the problem is that with all these different capabilities, how do you deal with that? What are the mix of capabilities that your app has to handle? And really there's sort of a minimum feature set that we expect from any head unit that's a MirrorLink head unit. It may have some other stuff, but at a minimum, it's going to have a rotary shift knob. And if you know that it's up, down, left, right, then you can twist it and you can push it, right? Anybody know what I'm talking about, the rotary shift knobs? Yeah, well, some guys, okay. You can have that, you can have a touch screen. It's one or the other. And it's going to be, at a minimum, it's going to be a single touch resistive display, so it's not going to have pressure sensitivity. It's on or off. Your application needs to deal with head units that have that set of capabilities at a minimum. You can take advantage of other stuff. If they take multi-touch or pressure sensitivity, or God help you have multiple rotary shift knobs, you can do that. And in fact, they could change at runtime, but I haven't actually seen that on a head unit. And you can tailor your application based off those capabilities. If you say, this is a rotary head unit, I'm going to come up with a special UI that's tailored specifically for a rotary knob. You can do that. Or if you can, so you can display a completely different UI. You can customize as much as you like, though you have to make sure it works on it. My advice, frankly, is build one UI that works with both. But if you really want to focus in directly on the capabilities, you can. That's one of the nice things about MirrorLink. You can do whatever you want. We give you access to this information, and you can deal with that however you like. So that's the event configuration. We also have data services. We have an extensible data service layer. It's bidirectional. So you can get data out of the head unit or provide information from the head unit back to the phone. Right now, we've defined GPS and location services because that was frankly the easiest. And the nice thing about that data services, those data services are, the car typically has better location data. If it loses connection, it can use its onboard navigation, or it can track its speed and velocity and try and maintain a good position track. You can get that information out of the car over this data service. And in most Android devices, it's actually mapped directly into the location service provided by Android. So you get access essentially to the GPS data from the car for free. And you don't even have to fire up the onboard GPS. So you get this better, lower latency, higher accuracy data signal, or location data. And we're also defining new data services to add access to other information from the car. So we're looking at additional vehicle data model objects here as we go forward. But those are the two services now. So that's some of what we have inside the Common API. So that's the basics. Again, it's a very thin API. Most of the services come to you transparently. You don't have to do anything specific. And as we add new services, like if we add, as we're working on new, I can talk about HSML, right? Yeah, we're adding like higher speed, higher definition video. When phones get that, when that gets rolled out, your application automatically will take advantage of that. You don't have to change your app in any way. That happens all transparently to your app. So you get all that sort of stuff for free. You can focus on building your app, designing your app with the UI you want to give the user experience you want. And you don't have to worry about coding frame buffer replication or worrying about templates or the like. All right, that's the Common API. So next up, I want to quickly talk about app requirements. Alan mentioned we talked about application certification. We have a program where we can say your application complies with various requirements that says, A, your application works in MirrorLink, and B, it doesn't distract the driver. And we have a certification program that says if you meet our requirements, we give you the seal of approval and your app's going to show up on all head units in all cars. You can go directly to the car makers and get whitelisted if you want. So if you have a relationship with Peugeot, you can say, okay, I want to be whitelisted in your car. But if you want to get seen in all vehicles, you have to get certified by the CCC. And we have two sets of requirements. We have our base requirements. This is park mode, we call it. This is the basic interoperability. Does your app work when it is just a rotary knob? Or does your app handle certain events properly? It's pretty straightforward. Basic interoperability. Then we also have our drive requirements. This is, does your application distract the driver? All right. So the base requirements, display compatibility, can you work on the displays, can you do it with control? It's really quite straightforward. The drive requirements are the tricky one. How many people have tried to read the various guidelines about driver distraction or workload? Anybody here tried to do that? Okay, nobody here enjoys pain. Okay, these specs that exist, there's a bunch of these that are out there. There's one that like the Japanese Automotive Manufacturers Association, JAMA has one. The North American Automotive Manufacturers Association has one. The EU guidelines have one. And if you're an app developer, they're terrifying to read because it's like, how big do I need to make my text? Well, get a driver in the 90% eyeball percentile with a stare rate angle and a glare, blah, blah, blah. It's incredibly difficult to try and figure out how big do I need to make my text. Well, what we've done in the CCC is we've taken those requirements and guidelines and translated them into something that you can use as an app developer. How big do my controls need to be? What kind of colors can I use? What kind of fonts can I use? That's all that information. We've translated that to stuff that you as an app developer can use, so you guys, again, can focus on building a good UI and not reading a bunch of automotive engineering specifications that are really difficult to understand. So what we've done is we've taken these different regional guidelines and we've translated them into application requirements, and they're divided by region. If you want your application to be used, if your target market's in the EU, you can go get our requirements and say, okay, these are the requirements that apply in the EU, and that's what I'm going to make my app do. If you want to be used in North America, you can get those. If you want to be used all over the world, we have the list of all the requirements. And we're constantly looking at adding new regions. We're going to be adding a new region here shortly for China. We're looking at we are constantly updating these requirements as guidelines change and interacting with developers, trying to figure out how to make them easier for you to use. But we have these guidelines. And as Alan mentioned, we publish this. It's out there, it's free. You can register as a developer. You get access to these requirements. You can get them and read them yourself, and you know exactly what the rules are. When you submit them for us to certification, you're going to know exactly what you have to do to get certified and approved. The principles, the basics of the driver distraction guidelines come down to a couple of things. Don't do some things that are just outlawed. Don't display video. Don't try and show streaming video on the head unit while somebody's trying to drive. Pretty obvious, right? The other one is it needs to be accessible. It needs to be easy to look at the display and figure out what the app is. You don't want the driver trying to be reading lots of fine print, right, while they're driving. The controls need to be easily accessible. The buttons need to be big so that while they're driving, they don't have to be staring carefully at the screen to get that little tiny button. Right? Those are the basic ones. And there's also the pace of interaction. The primary purpose of the driver is to be driving. You don't want to have them say, you have to interact with this app within the next 5 seconds. It has to be something that they interact with the app When they see that it's safe, they have a moment, they can look at the screen, press the button, and go back to driving. Those are the basics at a high level. We've translated them to lower levels. I've already mentioned this. We have various regional guidelines. Again, EU is sort of the default guidelines. If you're trying to make your app and your target market South Africa, then you use the EU guidelines. It's our default set. So some of the drive requirements. Here's an example. Primary text must be 4.2 millimeters tall on the screen. There you go. Trust me, if you try and look at like the AAM guidelines, the North American text size guidelines, it's painful. It's horrible. You have to get out. You know, I took trigonometry a long time ago, and it's rough. So you have to just have large text. Some stuff is exempt. Basically, make your text big. Use the default fonts. You'll be fine. We have color contrast requirements. The colors need to be bright. It needs to be easy to read. We're used to, if you're making mobile apps, right, you're used to having these really high quality screens, right? And if you don't have to worry about glare because the user can just kind of move the phone to get out of glare. Well, in the car context, that's not going to happen. If the sun's behind them coming in the back window, it's going to be bright glare on the screen. So you need to make sure your app is visible under high glare conditions. So you have to be high contrast. We use the standard W3C luminance contrast. There's calculators everywhere. You can find them online. But it's at least 7:1. That's pretty high contrast. Choose your colors carefully. It's not that hard. We provide tools to help you do it. But just make sure that your foreground and background colors are high contrast. Does mean you can't do some real fancy gradients and things, but it needs to be easily visually accessible. They need to be able to read it quickly just by glancing at it. Other one, controls have to be big, 200 millimeters square, and you must fill up 50% of the containing box. Really quite straightforward. We don't specify a template of how you can lay out your controls. We don't do that. We say these are your as long as your UI complies with these requirements. Big text, big buttons, we'll certify your app. Now, as I mentioned though, different screens and different cars have different sizes. And we've been given here, the limits are in like 4.2 millimeters. Well, on different screens that might be different number of pixels, right? Well, what we do is we have a reference client display. This is sort of our default minimum head unit size. 800 pixels by 480, 13 by 8 centimeters. Scaling happens in the MirrorLink session automatically to bigger or larger screens. If the screen's bigger than that, if you comply at the reference client display and the screen's bigger than that, you're good because your text scales up, your controls get bigger. If it's smaller than the client display, we don't care. You're not required to comply on screens smaller than that. If you want to, you can tailor your app. If you say, hey, the screen is a lot bigger than my reference client display. It's 20 centimeters across by 16 centimeters across. You can relay out your UI to take advantage of that. You don't have to. You just have to work on that minimum reference client display. So that's how we solve the scaling problem. This makes it a lot easier. My advice, build for that reference client display. And if you really, really want to, you can do for larger screens, but just hit the reference client display and you'll be fine. We do have another step. If you're trying to get certified for use in North America or Japan, the requirements there, we actually have to get human subjects and test. We have to do timing to figure out how long it takes to do different tasks. If you're just doing EU certification, which I think a lot of you are going to be focused on, you don't have to do this. But if you're looking at Japan, North America, or global, you go to a test lab and they get some test subjects and they put on these blinking goggles. Actually, they don't do the goggles. They get in front of a screen that turns on and off. It's on for a second and a half, off for a second, and you time the time. You measure the time it takes to perform the longest task inside your app. And in North America, it's 15 seconds total open time, so it's I think it's like 7 or 8 cycles. The Japan requirement's much tighter, but you have to do this if you want to get Japan certified or North American certified. The basic rule of thumb is keep your lists short and your tasks short, and it's not a problem. Don't try and do text entry while driving. That's kind of hard to do if you're trying to hit the North American or Japan guidelines. So there you go. Those are the app certification requirements. Now, of course, it's not enough to just say that you comply with our requirements. You have to prove it to us. You have to demonstrate to us that you comply with our requirements. And the way we communicate with the client, the head units and phones, we tell people how their certification status with a little digital certificate that we distribute. We have a little we have a cloud-based system that distributes these to the phones. You don't have to do anything to integrate with this in your app, but the nice advantage to this is we can change your certification status and you don't have to update your app. If you get approved for use in drive mode in North America, we can turn it on automatically using our certificate distribution system, and you don't have to push an update to your app to get it. So it keeps things a little easier. We also don't interfere with however you distribute your apps. We don't have another app store set up. You distribute your app however you want. We don't interfere with that in any way. We have a whole tutorial on how to use these certificates online. I think there's actually going to be a video version of it. I don't know if it's been posted yet, but it's been posted. So we have how to use the certificates, how to get a developer certificate. We have this whole mechanism so that you can't use an app that hasn't been certified while you're in a car driving. But for you guys to test, you can bypass that with the developer certificate mechanism. It's pretty straightforward. You basically tell us the IMEI of the phone that you're running it on, and the app will be shown as a MirrorLink app. We also have a certification program, and this gets a lot of some app developers get a little nervous about this. It's really quite simple. You fill out a form, you tell us about your app. You go to the test labs, they run the tests, they give a report. If you need to make changes to your app, you can make changes to your app. But if your app passes, we say, good, you're certified, you get a certificate, and your app starts working in MirrorLink on cars. It's really quite simple. It doesn't take long. Typically, it's just a couple of days in a test lab. Tops, you can do this in just a couple of weeks. Cost isn't that high. It's really quite nice. And my job as the certification body is to answer questions and help you guys through it. So if you have any questions about it, help me through it. I can help you through it. One question that also gets asked all the time, wait, does this mean we have to do this every time we update our app? The answer is no. You only have to do this once. First time you get certified, you go through that. After that, if you update your app, you tell us, hey, what changed? And if you say, we changed this one screen. Okay, give me a screenshot. We'll be fine. If you don't change your UI, we don't care, and your app stays certified. If you make a major change to your UI, we may ask you to rerun some tests. But it's really quite straightforward. It doesn't take long at all. Okay, developer support tools. I got a lot of stuff to cover here, right? Got a lot of tools that we've made to help support developers. First is what we call the PICs. This is a form you use, you fill it out, you tell us about your app. It's also a checklist of all the requirements. So you can figure out, okay, I'm trying to get certified in the EU. What are the requirements that apply to my app? And you just go through the checklist. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, yes, yes. It's really straightforward. We use this when we're testing your apps to figure out how to test your app. And it's what we use to track your app. It's how you tell us what your app does. The PICs is where you tell us that. The PICs has a bunch of tools in it to help you. Those application certificates that I briefly mentioned, I don't want to go down into the weeds on that. There's a little XML extension in there that just tells the phone about your app. Well, we have a little tool that helps you build that, takes the pain out of doing that. It's really quite straightforward. We have a little tool that helps you build certificates as well. We also have what we call the Common API Simulator. If you don't have a phone with MirrorLink or you're working at your workstation and you've got your VM up and running, you can install this as a faker of the Common API so that you can control the API from a little external app, and you can have your app think it's connected to a MirrorLink head unit, and you can manipulate how the Common API behaves. So you can test, what does my app do when I get told it has a screen size that's X by Y? Or what does it do if I get this control event? You can test that with the Common API Simulator. You just install it on the phone and it's easy to go. We also actually mentioned that rotary shift knob. Daimler loves to use this thing. We have instructions on how to build them. We've got a couple of them. We'll send them to you as well. It's really straightforward. We provide ways to simulate it, but there's nothing quite like having the physical interface device to sort of mess with to figure out how your app works. And we have instructions on how to build them. It's really not that hard. You just need a power supply and a soldering iron. Actually, you don't even need a soldering iron. You can do it with tape. That's how I did mine. It's not that hard. We also have what we call the Common API Test Application. This is an app that we use when we're testing devices to check to make sure they implement the API correctly. And we actually provide that to you. It's a great way to see what all the API does. And if you come over one of the demos, I can show you it. I'll show you what the API does and show you all the different elements of it. And we provide it as source code too, so you can see how the API works and how to use it. And we have that again on our developer site. We also have a bunch of MirrorLink devices now you can get, head units. phones as well, so you can get those easily to do your testing. And we also have a MirrorLink client simulator device, and I'm going to now hand this over to our technical work group chair, Jörg. Jörg's the man for this. He's the one that deserves the round of applause because he's the one that does all the hard work.
Oh no. Yes, like that. I recognize it's a wooden floor, so I can start some dancing, but I was told not to do this. So I will just give you a short introduction what the MirrorLink client is. So short background to myself. So Ed mentioned I'm the chair of the technical work group. So meaning I need to deal with putting the protocol together, ensuring that everything fits together and works at the end, writing a lot of documents, and also ensuring that we do the right testing. At the same time, that's my day job I do for the CCC, and of course somebody needs to pay my bills. So I'm working for Microsoft. I'm working there as a standardization director. I'm based in California. So if you want to reach me, I'm easy to reach, but you need to apologize that there might be some slightly time shift in my responses. So what I've been doing as part of my work in putting together the standard and the MirrorLink technology, we immediately saw the need to have a way to simulate and emulate what we're actually doing. And while doing this, we recognize that actually a lot of value in also sharing that simulator to application developers. Of course, I guess car manufacturer would be happy to sell everybody of you a car that you can do your development within the car. Maybe not while driving, but it is sitting in the car. But of course, we understand that you do application development at your desk. And you would like to have a simulation environment that allows you to simulate what a head unit would do, what a vehicle would do at your desk. And that is particularly what that MirrorLink client, which will show up soon, what will provide you. So it's a piece of software, what we are able to give you. It runs on any Linux machine. It's Qt based. It comes in a source code. You just run it, you install it, and you're ready to use it together with any MirrorLink enabled phone. And so we have a demonstration here. So it's basically what we have here. It's an HEC M8, and the head unit software that's the moment installed within a VM running on a Mac. Or you can also use any Linux-based desktop, laptop, or as here within a VM environment. And the only thing from Microsoft perspective, so we provide the software cost with no cost. There is no charge required for this. The only thing what we need is, as we distribute the software in source code, we need two legal documents to sign: a regular limited license agreement and a non-disclosure agreement. So if you're interested actually to have access to that code immediately, you can meet me. We have we can set up the legal part immediately. So we can sign if you want to sign. If you want to wait a bit, you can take the paper with you, come back at the hackathon, and we do it at that point. The client would be good, at least. So the client itself, just mentioned it is going to emulate all the different features of a head unit. So it also shows you the replication part. So you actually have a window of what the screen of the phone is getting you, and that allows a lot of configurations, and that allows you to interact with it. So you can emulate. You can emulate. Oh, there we are. Okay. Hey. So Ed was already showing that's basically the starting screen, and it shows you the listed applications what you have, and these are the applications which are installed on the M8 device which I have. You see some icons are green, some icons are red. The difference are the green ones are certified, the red ones are not certified. So there is you see that some of them are certified, some of them are not certified for drive use. If you can, let's go to the glimpse one. Oh, you have another phone. Okay. Oh, okay. It's not my phone. So okay. It's not mine. Okay. Okay. So basically, what you see what you get with the client, you get one big window in the middle. That's the head unit screen. That's the big screen you see in front of your head unit, and that will also show the application user interface. You have a configuration window which allows you to configure. You have got chat marks. You see the configuration of the device. So we've got a resolution, the physical size. You get some information on the server. There's some readout what the server is, what you're connected to. If you go to the application tab, if you press the update, you also get, these are the lists of available applications. You get some more information as well, what the phone is advertising. And you have a long debug window. So if you're really interested to understand how MirrorLink works, you can look into the debug window and you see all the messages going back and forth. But the interesting thing, as Alan and Ed mentioned, as an app developer, you don't care about this. The reason why we have it, because we have a lot of phone manufacturers, they use it as well for debugging their phones. So therefore, we provide this as a capability as well for getting understanding of what's underneath there. As an app developer, you're really interested to have your app installed on the device, connect the device to the head unit, to the simulator, and run the app. And then you can interact with it, but just using your mouse, or if you have a touch screen, you can actually just point and use your finger as the user would do to interact with touch. You have also the possibility on the right side, it's an emulated knob, so you have the rotary shift events for rotation, for shifting up, down, left, right, and so forth. Also the rotary knob, the physical rotary knob, what Ed was mentioning, you can connect it to the simulator as well, and you can actually use the physical knob. The last thing what I want to mention is, if you get your application certified, how CCC certified, we use that tool. And the good part of that, so you know what will be certified and how it will be certified, because you can do it at your work desk. You can prepare all the testing and check whether everything is right by using the same tools, the same setup any of our test apps are going to do. The client software as such is certified, fully certified for MirrorLink use, so all the server, all the phones you have work with that piece of software. So that's all what I have. If you have questions, we can go into a bit more demonstration. It's a bit short here. You can play with it if you want. So you come back, come and see me later on.
So again, to reiterate what Jörg said, one of the really nice things, if you're an app developer, you know, we give you all the tools that are used, you can use to make your app, but we also give you all the tools that we use when we test the app. So before you go to a test lab, you can run the tests yourself at your workstation, you can use the client simulator, you can use real phones, so you know before you even go to anybody else, you know whether or not your app works, and you know how it works. You can run the test yourself, and we give this to you. You can get, as Jörg mentioned, you have to sign a license agreement with Microsoft, but all the tools, getting on the developer portal, access to all the documentation, it's all free of charge. You just have, click through license agreement, what you expect. To get your app certified, we don't charge you anything for it. Getting your app certified is free, so you don't have to worry about that. Our goal is to make it as easy as possible for app developers. And again, we're an open standard. You know what the rules are. When you submit it to us, you know what the rules are. You know how we're going to test you. You know before you come to us whether or not you're going to pass or fail. We have a broad install base. We have clear open requirements. If you don't have to go be an automotive engineer and study the JAMA guidelines that are in Japanese to try and figure out what your app needs to do. So it gives you the maximum flexibility. You can make whatever user interface you want. Just has to comply with our requirements and we're going to certify it. So you can provide the best user experience, the one that you want to provide to your user, you can. So minimal technical burden, thin API, nothing major you have to do. So thank you very much. If you have any questions about technical issues, whatever, part of my job is to answer them, and feel free to contact me. I'll be hanging out here demonstrating whatever you want me to do. Just feel free to contact me. So thank you much.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ed. Thank you, Jörg. Alan? Yeah, please. Okay, we have one precision from Alan just here.
So one thing I would like to augment, as you've heard, one of the activities that we go through is we certify these apps with the help of a test lab. We have many test labs as part of our organization, part of a CCC, and those test labs, 3 of them have stepped forward to be sponsors of this event. TTA, which is based in Korea, 7 Layers here in the EU, and the third one, Cedicom, also based here in the EU. And what that means for the participants here is that the winning applications, the 4 winning applications, we will also offset the cost for your certification. So not only will there be a cash prize for winning the event, but those applications that win and make it through, your certification costs will also be offset. So it's not just the money that you see on the table here, but also extra value from that point of view, which is not insignificant. So keep that in mind, that there's also extra value here from the laboratory's point of view. So a little bit sweeter pot, if you like, from that. So thanks to our test labs for helping out, especially in this case. So Alex?
Thanks. Thanks a lot, Alan. Thanks you for this precision. Indeed, of course, app developers are obviously asking this kind of question. So I'm going to right now call to Isham to come here and present Vocal Apps. So as I told you at the beginning, we have 3 AP app partner. Isham is the first one. You're good, Isham? Ready to present yourself? Let's go then.
Pierre, there is a mic for my friend.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Pierre. I'm in charge of marketing at Vocal Apps.
Hello, I'm Hisham. I'm in charge of R&D at Vocal Apps.
So, 20%. 20%, it's, I'm sorry. 20% is the number of car accidents related to the use of electronic device in cars, on the road, while driving, sorry. How do we react to this number? En français, on peut le faire en français? Ah, ok, sorry. Ok, excusez-moi. Donc je recommence. Donc aujourd'hui, ce qu'on constate, c'est qu'il y a 20% des accidents de la route qui sont dus à l'usage du téléphone sur la route, pendant qu'on conduit. Comment on réagit à un nombre comme ça? Les gouvernements autour du monde ont essayé d'interdire l'usage du téléphone, mais la vérité, c'est que ça ne marche pas. Les gens continuent à utiliser leur téléphone, et on a beau mettre toutes les amendes du monde, les gens continueront à utiliser leur téléphone. La solution, exactement. Thank you. La solution, c'est justement vous, en tant que développeur, vous avez la possibilité de changer ça en utilisant la voix dans les interactions avec les appareils électroniques.
Du coup, je vais prendre la parole aussi. En fait, ça fait effectivement, nous, on a trouvé intéressant d'intégrer Vocal Apps dans le CCC, dans le hackathon MirrorLink, parce que voilà, effectivement, c'est une technologie qui permet. Alors, si j'ai bien compris, si je me rappelle bien, en fait, c'est une technologie qui permet d'intégrer dans l'application mobile la possibilité d'échanger, en fait, de la reconnaissance vocale, c'est bien ça, et donc de donner des ordres et de pusher des events sur l'application. Est-ce que c'est à peu près ça? Bon, c'est pas, je suis pas super technique, mais peut-être, je pense que Hicham, tu es plus le côté technique, c'est ça? Voilà, bon, voilà, si vous avez besoin de plus d'informations. Moi, c'est vrai que nous, quand on a fait nos recherches, justement sur des API comme ça, je pense que Vocal App c'était clairement une solution pour nous, parce que je pense qu'il y a plein de choses à faire en termes de reconnaissance vocale. Aujourd'hui, voilà, que ce soit au volant d'une voiture ou ailleurs, bon voilà, là on est dans la voiture, mais je pense qu'il y a énormément de choses, et nous on a trouvé ça intéressant de les proposer en tant que partenaire, peut-être pour les imaginer, et pourquoi pas les croiser avec des services complémentaires. Alors effectivement, moi on avait pensé à Deezer également, ou Spotify. Bon, il y a déjà des échanges qui ont été faits avec le Car Consortium, mais voilà, juste pour vous donner un petit peu une idée. Hicham, tu veux rajouter un petit mot ou
Ok. En fait, ça marche bien? Ok. Donc, juste pour être très très clair et très, très concis avec vous, dans cette voiture-là, l'utilisateur, il va avoir de plus en plus de services, de plus en plus de choses qui vont se présenter à ses yeux. vous avez des bonnes idées sûrement, d'excellentes idées. Vous allez essayer de les développer. Vous allez essayer de gagner ce hackathon. Il y en a qui veulent gagner ou pas? Bon, vous êtes là pour gagner. Et donc, et nous, VocalApps, ce qu'on vous propose, en fait, c'est l'API qui va vous faire gagner. Pourquoi? En fait, si vous faites une appli et que vous ne pensez pas au conducteur, il va rentrer dans le mur. Nous, ce qu'on vous propose, en fait, c'est de faire votre Siri sur mesure. D'accord? Vous n'avez plus à vous préoccuper de tout l'aspect langage naturel. Si le gars, il cherche un resto, il cherche un resto italien, il va le dire comment? Je cherche un restaurant italien, je veux une pizza, j'ai la dalle, je veux des spaghettis. Vous êtes développeur, vous n'allez pas imaginer tous les synonymes, toutes les façons dont on exprime les choses. Nous, on a un outil qui est graphique. On a un outil qui contient 15 millions d'entités sémantiques en 15 langues, à portée de clic. Donc nous, on va venir vous suggérer tous les synonymes. Vous n'avez plus à vous tracasser avec ça. Vous n'avez pas besoin d'un doctorat en linguistique pour construire une belle interface utilisateur. Donc si vous voulez gagner le hackathon, faites une appli, rajoutez une couche de vocal, venez nous voir, venez sur notre site web, écrivez-nous un email, on se fera un plaisir de vous aider. Voilà.
Merci Pierre, merci Hicham, merci à tous les deux. Voilà, hein, donc effectivement il y a plein de choses à faire, encore une fois. Hicham et Pierre, ils seront là, ok. Donc n'hésitez pas à aller leur poser des questions si vous le souhaitez, si vous êtes intéressé pour intégrer justement du vocal dans vos applications. Mais du coup, du vocal, on va en avoir besoin parce que la pluie vient de commencer. Je vais maintenant appeler Stéphane de Weather. Alors, Weather, est-ce qu'il y a un lien weather? Voilà, la pluie. Je pense que oui. Hein, je te laisse expliquer tout ça.
Bonsoir à tous. Ça marche? Allô, allô. Bonsoir à tous. Je m'appelle Stéphane. Donc, je suis très heureux ce soir de vous présenter Weather. Alors, Weather, W-E-Z-R, ça rappelle la météo, Weather. Et alors, qu'est-ce que c'est Weather? C'est une application météo communautaire qui va vous permettre de savoir quel temps il fera derrière la colline, sur le terrain de golf, sur votre parcours de VTT, sur la plage, au bord de la rivière, sur la route, à 13h35, 14h40, 15h15, 16h20, donc de manière très précise, grâce à un capteur connecté et des algorithmes élaborés. Tous ici, nous avons des expériences à raconter rapport aux mauvaises conditions météo, rapport aux mauvaises prévisions météo. On a tous été confrontés à un problème, on est arrivé sur place et on s'est dit la météo s'est encore trompée. Pourquoi? Pourquoi la météo se trompe-t-elle? Eh bien, tout simplement parce que les modèles de prévision météo sont imparfaits. Ils sont lancés 4 fois par jour. Une fois qu'ils sont lancés, les modèles sont très proches de la vérité. Et ensuite, au fur et à mesure du temps, le modèle il s'écarte par rapport à la réalité. C'est-à-dire que l'atmosphère se modifie. Elle n'était pas bien prévue par le modèle. Et au fur et à mesure du temps, la prédiction s'éloigne de la réalité. Ce qui fait qu'au bout de 5 ou 6 heures, finalement, la prévision météo est obsolète et c'est pour ça que la météo se trompe. Nous, on a inventé c'est une innovation mathématique qui permet de mettre à jour continuellement la prévision par rapport à la réalité. On utilise notre application. Notre capteur collecte les informations atmosphériques, pression, température, humidité, les injecte sur nos serveurs dans nos algorithmes qui recalculent la prévision météo grâce à ces nouvelles données. Et ainsi, la prévision, au lieu de s'écarter de la réalité, eh bien, elle est replaquée en permanence près de la réalité. Ce qui fait que finalement, eh bien, la météo ne se trompe plus. Alors là, je vous ai parlé de capteurs connectés. Ici, dans le contexte, le capteur connecté, c'est la voiture. La voiture collecte les données, les envoie sur nos serveurs, nos algorithmes. On recalcule la prévision et on fournit au chauffeur, finalement, des informations météo pointues. Exemple, je suis sur la route, il y a telle température, tel taux d'humidité. On va dire au chauffeur, pour l'instant, il n'y a pas de brouillard, mais dans 10 minutes, il y a un brouillard qui va apparaître devant vous. Attention. Le chauffeur est sous une averse, sous des trompes d'eau, comme là tout à l'heure. On va pouvoir lui dire, ça s'arrête dans 25 minutes. Autre chose, s'il est incorporé au GPS par exemple, on va pouvoir lui dire, si tu veux éviter les averses, prends plutôt tel chemin, etc. On a une connaissance de la météo très pointue parce qu'elle est réactualisée en permanence grâce aux données collectées et à notre algorithme. Voilà. Fait que finalement, d'un point de vue sécuritaire, confort, il y a tout un tas d'aspects positifs pour le chauffeur grâce à ce système. Des questions ?
Merci Stéphane. Effectivement, s'il y a des questions, les gens peuvent venir te voir. Du coup, voilà, il est pareil, il est là avec son équipe, avec 2 personnes de son équipe. Voilà, encore une fois, la prévision météorologique, quelque chose qui fait du sens aussi, je pense, à l'intérieur de ce hackathon. Bon, bien sûr, après, moi je dis, mais c'est aussi à vous de nous le dire, ok ? Donc n'hésitez pas aussi à nous donner vos feedbacks. Alors, on a également Cyril qui devait être parmi nous, qui malheureusement, pour une urgence vraiment de dernière minute, n'a pas pu venir ce soir. Donc en gros, Human Life, en fait, c'est ils ont ouvert leurs API il n'y a pas très longtemps, et en gros, c'est une fonctionnalité, c'est un des API qui vous permet de récolter des données sur le bien-être. Ok, donc bon, je regardais rapidement, c'est en fait suivi de l'addiction, la santé, les choses comme ça. Je pense que pareil, voilà, ça fait du sens au volant de la voiture d'avoir justement un côté confort, bien-être, addiction. Je pense que c'est assez rapproché avec des problématiques actuelles. Donc voilà, ils seront là pour le hackathon en tant que mentor également, mais voilà, il s'excuse et il a vraiment pas pu être là ce soir. Je voulais également remercier, avant de passer justement au concret, hein, puisque c'est vous qui allez prendre le micro. J'aimerais en fait remercier les médias partenaires, ok, donc Aruco, la voiture connectée BeGeek. Bon voilà, je sais pas si vous avez eu l'occasion de lire ou de visiter ces sites-là, ces médias-là, mais en tout cas voilà, ils ont supporté pour ce hackathon, et je vous recommande vivement d'aller voir un petit peu ce qu'on peut, enfin voilà, de quoi ils parlent, qu'est-ce qui est diffusé sur ces sites-là. Hop là, alors. Décidément. Ok, alors du coup, bon voilà, on va commencer la session des pitchs. Alors il y en a certains d'entre vous qui sont habitués à la session des pitchs, puisqu'ils sont habitués à venir au hackathon, etc. Mais en gros, je vais demander à tous les porteurs d'idées de se présenter juste là, à l'endroit où je suis maintenant. Et en gros, ils vont avoir 1 minute pour présenter leur idée. Donc en gros, moi j'aurai mon petit timer, mon petit iPad avec 1 minute. Et en gros, dès que vous commencez l'idée, je commence le chrono. Ok, donc 1 minute c'est short, mais c'est fast innovation style. Ok, vous avez 1 minute pour convaincre. Ok, donc avec ou sans slide. Mais l'idée c'est de diffuser, de partager un maximum d'informations sur votre idée, et que bien sûr pendant les bagels, etc., vous puissiez discuter avec j'ai vu ton idée, moi je suis développeur, je l'aime bien. Donc voilà, c'est aussi pour ça qu'on vous a tous donné des petites étiquettes, hein, avec votre prénom, pour casser un petit peu toutes les barrières qu'il pourrait y avoir pour ceux qui ne se connaissent pas. Mais voilà, il ne faut vraiment pas hésiter à aller discuter avec votre voisin. Et donc du coup, l'utilité des mentors, en gros les mentors ils sont là pour vous accompagner dans votre idée, pour vous aider à créer votre idée, à faire aboutir votre idée, à brainstormer en vous donnant leur point de vue, parce que forcément quand on a une idée dans laquelle on croit énormément, on a tendance à être un petit peu tête baissée, ce qui n'est pas forcément efficace. Du coup ils sont là voilà, pour un petit peu vous ouvrir les yeux et vous dire regardez, y a ça, est-ce que tu y as pensé, mais ça existe déjà, mais moi je travaille là-dedans, est-ce que tu as pensé à faire ça, etc. Donc ça peut être du mentoring technique, donc dev 100%, ou alors du mentoring business model, ou alors du mentoring design, ou bon voilà, tout type de compétences. Du coup je vais laisser se présenter les mentors. Donc du coup je vais commencer par une personne qui n'a pas encore pris la parole, qui est Alan, qui est aussi impliqué dans l'organisation du hackathon, voilà, avec qui on a beaucoup échangé depuis le début. Alan, you are Alan. Antti, apologize. Antti, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Antti. I am the marketing director for CCC. So I am not a software engineer. But if you look at the connected car and if you see it not just as a hobby, not just as something fun, you might be asking yourself, is this the next frontier for apps? You might be asking yourselves, is there a business opportunity in this for me? Then you might have any of the three following questions in your mind. First one, what is the best way of making money out of the connected car? Number two, how much money can I make with MirrorLink? Number three, why is MirrorLink the best ecosystem for an app developer? If you're wondering of any of these questions, please come see me. I also have a question in my mind. What is it? When I look at you, I am curious. Do I see future MirrorLink rock stars in the audience? Again, come see me and we find out together if that is the case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Antti. Thank you. Very motivating pitch. Thank you very much. So, all right. Do you want to? Okay. Okay. Well, yeah. You all know Alan, Jörg, and Gauthier and Ed also that just presented before. Okay. So you already know them. We also had Nicolas from Coyote. But unfortunately, he couldn't came tonight. Okay, so apologize from him. But we also have three other mentors who are a part of the API partner. So Cyril, that couldn't come tonight, also. Isham is also part of the mentor. He's not here, but he is part of the mentor. And Stefan and Vincent, okay, that are together. So basically, you already know all the mentors. Okay, so I think we are good to go. Oh my God! And don't leave. Huh? I see some people leaving now. No! It's time to pitch. Huh? Don't to go. Okay, so I'm gonna ask to all the idea generator to come here. Okay, so all the ones that send me slide, or all the ones that want to pitch. Okay, so. Again, you have 1 minute, you have to make it quick, you have to convince the audience, okay? It's not engaging, okay? It's up to you. It's just for you to test and talk about it, okay? Oh, good. I like this idea generator because he has the same t-shirt than me. So yeah, just come here and pitch your idea, okay? Even if I don't know, you have a very, very crazy project, maybe not doable project, but just go and do it, okay? If you don't feel confident with English, you can go ahead with French, okay? So we will be here to help the translation with a mentor if needed, okay? So, the first speech is Zag. Zagaz, okay, sorry. Just give me a sec, I'm setting the...
Bonjour, je suis le développeur de l'application Android de Zagaz. Zagaz, c'est une communauté Internet de plusieurs dizaines de milliers d'utilisateurs qui renseignent les prix des stations-service en allant sur place, en notant les prix sur leur téléphone. Et l'objectif que j'avais, c'est de proposer de faire évoluer cette application pour la mettre sur... pouvoir permettre depuis la voiture de faire la recherche, d'avoir directement sur la voiture la navigation et de pouvoir faire des recherches par prix, voir si un certain carburant est disponible. D'habitude, on a du mal à trouver du GPL. Voir les stations 24 heures sur 24 quand on a besoin de carburant tard le soir. Et ce que permet aussi Zagaz aujourd'hui, c'est de faire le suivi de consommation et d'avoir l'historique, de voir que avec tel type de carburant, on peut rouler plus longtemps qu'avec un autre, etc. Voilà. Merci.
Park Easy. Yes? Tu es prêt?
Comme 18 millions de Français, je prends tous les jours ma voiture. Et comme 18 millions de Français, il m'arrive parfois de tourner pendant des heures pour trouver une place de parking. Est-ce que vous savez qu'on passe environ 1 an de notre vie à chercher une place de parking? Ce n'est plus possible. Alors je me suis dit, comment régler ce souci? Comment régler ce souci? Eh bien, très simplement, en proposant une appli qui serait intégrée à votre tableau de bord et qui vous proposerait instantanément et simplement toutes les places de parking autour de vous. Fini le temps perdu, fini la galère. Mais alors, comment ça peut être possible? Eh bien, tout simplement en installant des capteurs sur tous les emplacements qui remontent en temps réel la disponibilité de toutes les places. Fini le temps perdu, fini la galère. Avec Park Easy, trouvez votre place facilement. Merci.
Très bien, merci beaucoup. Donc Park Easy, c'est important que vous repériez les gens qui pitchent pour ensuite aller discuter avec eux. Hein. On est assez nombreux et souvent les gens sont là. Mais où est cette idée? Elle était géniale, mais voilà, il faut que je la trouve. Donc voilà, pensez à bien regarder les pitchers. La boîte à colis mobile. T'es prêt, Badri?
Bonjour. Bonsoir, moi c'est Badri. Donc moi je vous propose de passer de la boîte aux lettres à la boîte à colis, mais une boîte à colis tout à fait toute particulière, donc une boîte à colis mobile directement dans le coffre de votre véhicule. Alors le case c'est quoi? C'est imaginez vous attendez un colis, vous pouvez pas être disponible à votre domicile au moment où le livreur vient. Donc ce que vous faites, c'est que vous lui donnez l'autorisation de venir se connecter à votre véhicule, ouvrir directement le coffre, déposer votre colis et puis refermer le coffre et s'en aller. Donc vous avez juste à récupérer votre colis dans votre coffre directement. Voilà. Oui, je cherche évidemment des développeurs et un designer. Donc développeurs et designers. Voilà.
Merci Badri. Calm Ride.
So, hello. About 20% of the time of a person who has kids in a car, they're not looking on the road because they're dealing with the kids in the back seat, et cetera, and so forth. And the way that it's currently handled is that you scream, and the kids don't even hear. And so what should be done, a very effective way of handling it, is to go ahead and stop the noise and pull over. So what our app does is it measures the sound in the back seat and the vibrations in the driver's seat and in the back seat. And then it goes ahead and it turns off the entertainment system, and a message comes up and says, hey, I think you all could, protected by Calm Ride, why don't you all pull over at the next part? And with Park Easy, you can even find your spot. So what we're looking for is we are looking for engineers who can help measure a lot of stuff.
Thank you very much. Okay, I have Camelia right now. Ready?
In English? In English, okay. Okay, I have a question for you guys. Who generates all this data that are collected in the car? Who is generating this? The driver. Who should own them? The driver. Who should make money with them? The driver and us. So this is our project. The project is actually to make the driver monetize his generated data. We are looking for people that would like to disrupt the system, change the business model, bring the money back to us, not the car maker and MirrorLink. We are looking for resilient people. We are looking for experts, especially developers, because as you are, I'm not a developer actually. and we would like to win, not 12.5 thousand euro plus the offset cost. We would like to win 12.5 billion.
Thanks for this good hack. We've been hacked. Thanks a lot. All right, so I can see that there is many people here that want to pitch an idea. So, Louis, do you want to come ahead?
Hello, I'm Louis. I'm a designer, and I had an idea. When you go to holidays, you make long trip by car, and is it so boring? You want to be somewhere else. Why is it like empty space? There is so many interesting things around you that you don't know about. What is this castle you see? What is this river you're crossing? What is there if you want to make a stop and have fun, make some sport? So what about you could go in any direction without no goal and seeing what is there around you. So it's my idea is kind of reinventing the road trip and an app that tells you what is interesting around you to cultivate you, to entertain you, to make you not being asleep, and to give you more ideas of what to do. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Louis. Thomas, are you next?
Hi everyone. I want to introduce you my app. So his name is Car Rescue. The idea is to rescue yourself if you have a car crash. So the idea is to have an extension for your MirrorLink device. So it's your phone with all the technology integrated. So you have the gyroscope, an example, and the idea is to send your driving data to the authorities in case of a car crash confirmed, and the goal is to accelerate the secours, the assistance to save life, and I think we cannot make a lot of money with it, so it will be a free app. And I am looking for some designer and some Android coders. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's important to tell, like, okay, what kind of skills are you looking for? Are you yourself a designer? Are you looking for a developer, an Android developer? So yeah, I think this would be for the advices for the hackathon, because there is no more idea pitcher, or there is. Okay, if you want to pitch, it's now or never. Okay, then it's never. Okay, thanks a lot to all the pitchers. Have a look at them, recognize them. Thanks to all our speakers. Thanks to you for your attention. And let's eat this wonderful bagel truck that is currently opening right now. Thank you very much. T'inquiète pas. C'est bon ?